welcome to Red Ice Creations Radio. Thank you for tuning in, new and regular listeners. My name is Henrik Palmgren and we are coming to you from the west coast of Sweden. We are here on Thursdays and Sundays doing internet talk radio on a wide variety of subjects that we consider to be important and of interest. Our website is redicecreations.com, REDICE creations.com, where you will find frequently updated news, our radio archive, and of course our member section with our entire archive of radio and video material. All information is available on redicecreations.com. And I'm glad you're here today because we are going to talk about a kind of an unreported issue, actually, even in the realm of conspiracy research. Many of you might not know, and a few of you might have forgotten about the deadliest maritime disaster, in quotes there, in the late 20th century. We are talking about MS Estonia that sank in the Baltic Sea on September the 28th, 1994, claiming over 800 lives. There have been many theories, many ideas, many computer models and illustrations to try to explain what happened that night and why the ship actually went down. What makes this story more intriguing is the fact that in the aftermath of the disaster, many relatives of the deceased demanded that their loved ones should be raised from international waters and given a land burial. Demands were also made that the entire ship should be raised up so that the cause of the disaster could be discovered by a detailed inspection. And citing the practical difficulties and the moral kind of implications of raising decaying bodies from the sea floor. By the way, the majority of the bodies were never recovered, but also fearing the financial burden for the costs of lifting the entire hull from the surface, and the salvage operation of the Swedish government suggested burying the whole ship in its place with a shell of concrete. And in the end, the Estonia Agreement of 1995, a treaty between Sweden, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Denmark, Russia, and the United Kingdom, though the UK not itself is a Baltic state, they declared sanctity over the site, prohibiting its citizens from even approaching the wreck. The treaty is, however, only binding for citizens of the countries that are the signatories. The Swedish Navy has at least twice discovered illegal diving operations at the wreck, and the wreck is monitored by radar by the Swedish Navy. And so, I mean, there's a whole story here why the cover-up has taken place and why there's such a big effort, so to speak, preventing people from going down there. And this, of course, those of you who are curious and are bound to ask questions about these things know that this is a kind of a red herring right here. And this is, of course, what we're going to talk more about today. And you're going to hear from a new perspective, so to speak. We have author and lawyer Henning Witte with us on the line to talk about MS Estonia and what he believes really happened and why there have been such a big effort to cover up the site and the evidence. So with that, welcome to the program, Henning Witte, and thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here. This is a very interesting story. And first off, I guess we can mention you are, of course, the author of a book called, in Swedish here, MS Estonia sänktes. I just have to ask you right away, is there any English version available of this book, Henning?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
It had been, but it was compromised by Christopher Bollin from American Free Press. He promised to do and publish, and he did not do it. And since that, it didn't happen. But I'll try to do it in the close future.
Okay, sounds very good. We can maybe talk about that more later on. That's interesting. But anyway, tell us a little bit about your background, Henning, and how kind of you first got involved in the MS Estonia story, if you will.
Yeah, I studied law in Sweden and Germany and started the first German law firm in Sweden in '93, specialized on the issues for law between companies investing in Germany or in Sweden. And in that position, the biggest Swedish newspaper came to me and wanted to have a legal opinion about product liability in this case, because they had the suspicion that the German shipbuilder, the Meyer Werft, built it in the wrong way, and that caused the catastrophe. And that was the reason why I was involved with it, and by that I came into the television and interviews there, and there the biggest groups of relatives, next of kin, found me and gave me the order to organize the litigation for almost 1,000 people in order to find out who's responsible.
Yes.
And at that time, we followed the mainstream media and commission and others, and that's why we focused on the shipbuilder, the German Meyer yard in the northern part of Germany, as one of the defendants, and the French company Bureau Veritas, who had controlled the ship also, and the Swedish Maritime Administration in Norrköping, Sweden, who also had made controlling jobs as a private entity for the Estonian state, because the Estonia was flagged in Estonia, a new Baltic state, just independent from the Soviet Union, and they got help from the Swedes, and
Yes.
especially from the Swedish Maritime Administration.
Very interesting. And why don't we do like this then? We can maybe begin to just kind of unravel the official story, or at least what we know at this point actually did take place. So if you will, Henning, tell us about what happened to Estonia.
Yes, it was a usual ferry ship, a ro-ro ferry, on her way from Tallinn, the capital of Estonia, the little tiny Baltic state, close to Russia in the Baltic Sea, from that capital Tallinn to Stockholm, the capital of Sweden, and they never came through in the middle of the way. They got heavy starboard list, and between 40 and 55 minutes from the first starboard list, the ship disappeared from the surface. And later on, bad weather came, and a little storm, and in the beginning, the authorities said, oh, it was a storm causing it, but looking close, there was no storm when the capsizing or the sinking was. And very soon after that, a commission was founded from the Estonian state, because it was flagged in Estonia, from the Swedish state because it was most Swedes on board and it was on the way to Sweden, and from the Finnish state because the Finns made the rescue operations.
Yes.
And this commission very early came out with a part report and blamed on the German shipbuilder, and that it was a combination of bad design and bad weather. And, well, everybody believed that, including me.
Yeah, yes.
That's why we started our litigation in Paris, because this Bureau Veritas, the controlling institute, is situated in Paris. And then during the preparation of this big litigation, people came to me, survivors, others, people working for the ship owner and so on, and told a totally different story from what was told officially. Officially, they said it was a high sea from the storm, and during the journey was about between 15 and 18 knots. They pushed against the waves, and the bow visor fall off because this pressure was too big and the construction of the bow visor was too weak.
Yes.
And falling off, the bow visor ripped the bow ramp open, the ramp which is used for the cars to enter the ferry deck. And now the deck was totally open and the water could pour in and on the car deck, and this caused the sinking of the ferry.
Yes.
Well, it sounds logical. If you don't know about shipbuilding, you buy this story. But then shipbuilders came and others and said, Henning, look, this is against the law of nature. If such a ship as the Estonia gets so much water on the car deck, it's capsizing and floating upside down could be several days, because below the car deck is about 18,000 cubic meters of air trapped in the decks called Deck 0 and Deck 1,
yes,
where you have the swimming pool, the motor room, and the engine room, and the cheap apartments where people live. And so it takes time for this trapped air to get out. So it was impossible for a boat like the Estonia, if you only have water on car deck, to sink within about 45 minutes,
yes,
disappear from the surface. If this has happened, and there's no doubt about it, then there must be a leakage, an opening beneath the car deck, allowing all the trapped air to get out and water to come in.
Yes.
And there it was very easy for the experts to say the official explanation from the Commission is a lie.
Yes, I understand. And this is, where everything, becomes very interesting, so to speak, because I guess we can begin to talk a little bit about some of the survivors and some of the testimony and some of the people that approached you and relayed their story. What did they say that actually happened?
Yeah, they started that the timeline that the Commission took up is totally wrong, that things started earlier, and that there were loud bangs, and several survivors said it sounded like explosions, that bombs exploded, and they have been suppressed with their testimony by the Commission and by the Swedish and Finnish police, and so they were quite frightened, some of them who came to me, and even to Jutta Rabe, the German journalist at that time working for Spiegel. Spiegel is in Germany the most serious medium with newspaper branch and television branch, and she was in the television part.
Mm-hmm.
So she also contacted me in '96 and said, well, I detected so many strange things, and I could only agree that we combined our research. And she also got interesting inputs from Finland and Estonia, people contacting her and telling a totally different story. And very soon the story and information came that there was weapons smuggled, and that this could have been the reason to stop the boat, and that was a reason for the officials to lie.
Okay. Let's definitely get into that more later on, but let's continue talking a little bit more about